Hello and welcome to the Broadway Q&A presented by Playbill and The Growing Studio. I'm Danny George. Every Monday and Wednesday, I sit down with different directors, choreographers, composers, you name it. Every Friday, I sit down with America's leading musical theater and acting colleges. For all of the most up-to-date information on all of our streams, check us out on Instagram at Playbill and at The Growing Studio. I am so excited to welcome choreographer extraordinaire Josh Bergasse today. Josh, are you there?
I'm here. Hi.
How's it going? Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Where are you quarantining right now?
I'm home in New York on the Upper West Side.
Have you been there the whole time?
Yes, basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It's tough, man. You know, we're in these tiny apartments, and I just can't wait for things to start again, like everybody.
I know. It feels like we're so close yet so far.
Yeah. And are you able to still choreograph in your apartment?
I do a lot of choreography in my apartment. And then, when sometimes it's a little too confined, I'm able to get into some dance studios by myself and work on stuff there.
That's awesome.
So I've been, relatively productive, which feels good.
Good. That's more than I can say. I am hitting that ice cream pretty hard. If any of our viewers have questions for Josh, go ahead and comment on Facebook or on YouTube, and we will ask some of those questions. And we will bring a couple of you onto the broadcast today to ask Josh for yourself. So let's get started. Josh, can you tell us a little bit about how you became a choreographer extraordinaire and your background?
Yeah, sure. My mother had a dance school in Michigan. Wow. And now since then, she's retired and my brother's taken it over. But I grew up there. I started tap dancing when I was 3 years old. I had my first pair of teeny tap shoes. And I just basically grew up at the dance studio instead of, hanging out, playing sports after school. I just hung out at the dance studio and took all kinds of classes, stuff that I was completely not the wrong age group, inappropriately, like the little kid running around in the adult classes. And I wasn't very good. I got to be honest. I didn't have much rhythm or talent until like I was a teenager. And then it started to click and something made sense in my body and the rhythm and the music. And then I started to take it really seriously. I started teaching for my mother's studio and choreographing for the recitals and competitions and things. And that's where I started, got the choreography bug by doing that. And then, when I came to New York and started performing, I would choreograph and teach on my, it was kind of like my waiting tables job. It was like in between all whenever I was performing. And, so that's how it started in New York. It was like really just like doing benefits and things like that for free. And then one day I got paid and I was like, wow, that's interesting. And it went from there.
What made you go from performing to being a choreographer?
Well, I kind of did both at the same time for a really long time. And then I had to, and then my choreography career really started very, very small. And I was doing really small things. And then, I started to get into regional theaters, and I did regional theaters for years and years and years, over a decade of just, regional theaters. So that just started to build up, and I built more contacts and, more work. And then all of a sudden it started conflicting with my performing career, and I had to make choices where I had to leave a show in order to take a choreography job. And then after a while I was getting a little older, the body was hurting. And the last show I did was the national tour of Twilight I Was Moving Out. And that was like, yeah, it was hard and it hurt, but it was great. It felt so good to dance like that, when you're going 1,000% for the whole show. And I was like, this is a good one to go out on. I think I'm ready to retire after this. I did it for 13, 14 months, and then I decided to just dedicate to choreography.
Josh, what makes you want to hire a dancer?
Oh, wow. I mean, the most important thing for me is somebody who is nice, somebody who's like, who I want to be in a room with for 8 hours a day for however many months it takes to whatever production that is, or 16 hours a day if it's tech, or if it's you're on on a set, on a TV show or movie. You know, people who like contribute, who are quick to make changes and quick on their feet to figure things out, who want to be there, they're ready to work, and they like to bring something to the table, and they like to be, you know, open to my ideas and that inspire me by their movement and their attitudes and things. That to me is the most important, because there's so many wonderful, amazing dancers out there. But if you're getting ones that if you're hiring people who are you know, not really present and not really a part of the process, or you know, want to bring a positive attitude to it, then you know, it just affects it infects the whole process and the whole production.
How do you read through that at an audition? So obviously, you know, you have, if they're people you've never worked with before and they come in the room, how do you then determine, you know, is this somebody I want to work with 8 shows a week? Yeah,
it's hard. You have to be a good judge of character, a good judge of people, like just from try and figure out what they're about. And if I can't, then what I do is I'll look at their resume and then see who they've worked with, and I will call or email that person if I know them, and ask them. And listen, we do this all the time. And you're honest with each other, because, you know, I'm not going to recommend somebody who I think is problematic to somebody who asks me, and vice versa, you know. And on the other side, you know, if somebody's one of my favorite people, I would say, yes, hire that person right now. If you don't, I will. You know, so it's, you know, it's important to maintain that positivity and that you know, kind of that work ethic throughout your career.
Thank you. I have a viewer who I want to bring on to ask you a question themselves.
Okay.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, good, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. My name is Naria Sherry, and I'm one of the Growing Studio students right now.
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you too. Before we start, I'm a massive fan of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, one of my favorite shows. Thank you for what you did. But my question is, what can movers do to be specific in the dance call?
Good question. I mean, you know, it's funny that you bring up Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, because I think what people need to know, especially movers, what you need to know when you get to the dance call is you're already not there because we think you're the most brilliant dancer and you're going to be, you know, the point of every the front in every number. That's not why you're there. So don't worry about that. You know what I mean? So like for Charlie and Chocolate Factory, we had 12 principals and 16 ensemble. Every principal needs 2 understudies. So before we're looking for great dancers, we're looking for 24 understudies out of 16 people. And then we're looking for people with great personalities, like on stage personalities, who could play a bunch of different parts, including Oompa Loompas. You know, so, you know, I don't need somebody who trained at SAB to be an Oompa Loompa and understudy Grandpa Joe. You know what I mean? What we're looking for are these characters and these you know, really interesting types, funny, and can sing the Shaman Whitman score. You know, it's almost like, for me, you know, it was there were so many boxes to check that dance was not really that high up on the list all the time. You know, for certain tracks it was, but for a lot of them it was really about, like, you know, can they be an Oompa Loompa? Can they sing this score? Can they hang with the dancers? You know, they don't have to be the front row. But so it's really important to know that it's not always about like being a you know, A+ dancer in calls like that. It's about just showing up and making sure that you don't let the intimidation of people who might be better dancers around you bother you. And it goes to, like, let your personality come out, you know, because that's what we want to know, who you are, and we want to know what you can bring to the table of all the other boxes that we have to check. So it's super important to, like, stay positive in those situations.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Of course.
Take care. This next question is from Tony Castellanos, who is based in New York City. Are you still working on the musical A Crossing? How did you come up with this idea, and what's your connection with the Latinx community?
Yeah, I am still working. Thank you for the question. I am still working on A Crossing. We were supposed to do it this summer at Barrington Stage Company, but we've been postponed to next summer.
Oh, so, right there. Thank you, Johnny.
Yeah, there it is. All right. Yes. so we're postponed to next summer, which actually has given us this time we've spent working really hard on the script and the music for the show. It's been a really productive time, believe it or not, for us. We've rewritten the script, half a dozen times already, and we've written new songs, and we've really done some great development for it. The way it started was, I guess, about 5 years ago. I was thinking just about my family and realizing that I wanted to do something about my family, kind of. Now, what that means is both my parents are immigrants. My mother was born in a refugee camp in Europe after the World War II, and she lived there for 5 years in that camp before they came to the U.S. And then my father came from Brazil as a teenager. So I'm first generation here, and I wanted to do something about immigrants, but I didn't know exactly what. But I wanted to honor my parents in some way like that, and my grandparents. So I called Julie Boyd, who is the artistic director of Barrington Stage. And the one thing I wanted to do is I want it to be very, very heavy in the dance department. So I wanted to tell most of the story with dance.
Cool.
So basically, I called Julie. I said, would you be interested in doing something like this? I'm not sure exactly what it is yet, but she said, yes, I'd love the idea. I got together with a writer, Mark St. Germain, and we came up with this idea of a story about migrants crossing the border from Mexico to the United States illegally. And it basically just talks about where they come from, how they cross, what it means to each one,
Wow.
And what the journey is like, because a lot of us don't really understand what it's really like.
Yeah.
And then how they affect each other on the journey. So that's the story. And Zoe Sarnak is writing the original music, and then we're using traditional Mexican folk music throughout as well.
It's so important. These are stories that we don't see told often. And what a timely time to tell them.
Right.
How fantastic.
It's funny. We thought it was timely 5 years ago, and now it's just even more so.
Yeah.
And the one. So we did. It is told so much through dance, and there is no dialogue. It is only song and dance.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's really cool. So that's how it came about. I'm really excited about it. It's a small cast, it's a compact show, but I think it's going to have a large resonance, I hope.
So while we're talking about new shows, I hope I'm not spilling any tea, but I know you are currently working on American Dance Machine. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yes, the American Dance Machine is basically a organization that their mission is to keep alive choreography from classic Broadway musicals, basically. And because originally it was created by Lee Theodore, and she thought, wow, these dances will all be forgotten. So the first incarnation of American Dance Machine was her getting dancers from all these shows and recreating them so that they're not lost. And now this new incarnation is led by Nikki Atkins, and she is called American Dance Machine for the 21st Century. And so she has gotten all this rep together and has done a couple of presentations at the Joyce Theater in the past. And now what we're doing is we're developing it into a fuller evening with a script and a through line that takes us through a journey of all these amazing Broadway, not just showstoppers, but like some little known numbers, and then and teaches us about the history without being too didactic. It's going to be a really fun evening, and with amazing dance numbers. I think there's over 40 incredible classic Broadway showstoppers and
wow.
Yeah.
Broadcasting that. Oh my God. To find people that can handle 40 different styles, that is going to be tremendous.
It is.
Wow. Are you aiming that to come to Broadway?
Yes, we're aiming for Broadway. We're hoping, sometime next year when things, turn around. And, we were supposed to do a workshop in April of this past year, but postponed, and we'll do it as soon as we can. we're ready. You know, we've been working. That's another show we've been working on and changing the order and rewriting the script and just reevaluating what numbers we want to be in there. And yeah, so we're ready.
That will run. I hope that runs for forever. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah, it is very cool.
Oh, cool.
And then the great thing is that all these numbers are taught to the current cast, to the cast that will be in our show, are taught by people who either they choreographed it originally or they were in it. Like Donna McKechnie teaches Music in the Mirror. You know, Chita Rivera teaches Beale Street Blues, and it's really cool.
Oh, I want to find out more about this outside of this. I'm going to email you. That is so cool. Can you talk a little bit about Seven Deadly Sins?
Yeah, the Seven Deadly Sins, conceived by Mark Happel. This incarnation, and so this is really cool because it's something that I'm doing with my wife, Sarah Mearns. So there's Anna 1 and Anna 2, and Justin Vivian Bond is playing Anna 1, and Sarah is playing Anna 2. And so we're doing like a really smaller, stripped down production. And we're talking to a couple different theaters now about where we're going to do it. And we're going to do a retreat, a residency this fall where we're all going to just go away. We're going to bubble. We're going to quarantine. We're going to test. We're going to bubble. We're going to go upstate and do this residency where we're going to start working on choreography and concept and things like that. It's a really wild piece and it's really interesting. So it's very thought provoking. And it's cool that it, you know, every once in a while, Sarah and I get to work on something together.
How cool is that? You know,
right.
My husband and I work together sometimes, and you know, sometimes I think we're pulling our hair out, and then once we find our groove, it is the best relationship because you can just be so upfront and honest with someone and not, you know, worry about anything. It's so useful.
Right. Yeah. And you can rehearse at home.
It is the truth. So you guys are going upstate to do this, and you're going to quarantine prior.
Yes. Yeah. Basically, we're going to quarantine, and we're going to, you know, so that we can create a safe bubble. And then we all do testing, and then we do a bubble where we're quarantined up there as well.
Now, obviously, you're going to be using people that you know. Everyone's out of a job. You know, we're all looking for any type of thing that we can do. When you're doing pre-pro like this, how do you find people to do pre-pro? You know, how does your pre-pro work? You know,
it's good. It's really, it's people that I know and that I love, that I've worked with, that I trust, that I want to be in a room with, that I think are creative and we work together well. And lots of times it's people, you know, I think that if you have, you know, young dancers who are out there, I think that they should not be afraid to put themselves out there to say, hey, you know, just write, you can unsolicited write me or write other people and just say, hey, I'm a fan. I take your class all the time, or this or that, or, you know, if you ever need a dancer, if you never need an assistant, if you ever need, you know, lots of times I don't. But lots of times it's the timing is perfect, and I'll reply, hey, actually, I have an opening for an assistant. The pay is terrible, but if you're free and you're available, you can have this job. And then hopefully if it goes well, then the next time the pay is better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or the next show, maybe there's a, you know, that's how I get my assistants are usually people who volunteer at first, and we build a relationship, and then I bring them on professionally as things move forward.
That is so cool. With that, I have a couple of viewers who want to come on and ask you a question, if that's okay.
Sure.
All right, let's bring them on.
Oh, that was fast.
Oh my God.
Hi.
What's up?
Look at you, Silver Fox. I'm talking about Josh Bergasse, but you are all handsome.
How dare you?
Looking good.
Hi, Josh. So I'm looking to assist sometime this week, and I thought I'd just ask. Any openings? I'm feeling very limber. Oh, God. Surprise. Well, did you have a question?
Nice beard.
Yeah. Oh, do you like my Albert Einstein? Oh, no, you were talking to him.
I like that, too.
Where are you guys currently quarantining?
Christian,
I'm in Manhattan, in the heart of New York City.
have you been there all 5 months?
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah. One of the brave, one of the bold.
good on you.
It's going real well.
Yeah.
It's not weird at all.
I'm actually
Where are you?
I'm actually staying in Greensboro, North Carolina. My fiance Isaac, his family, his childhood home is in Greensboro. So once his show and my show got shut down, we just fled and came here. It's just a lot more space, backyard, greenery. You know, it's lovely. But right now, I'm actually in Asheville, North Carolina, because it's my birthday week, and he's surprising me with a 3-day birthday adventure.
Hey.
But I got a question for you, Josh.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
A good one from Anthony De Silva from New York, and he wants to know, how did choreographing a musical for TV and choreographing a musical for the actual stage differ, and which is more challenging? Do you have any experience doing that?
I don't. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It wasn't me.
That's like Smash's only Emmy win. Right?
No, wait. Didn't Uma win one?
Did Uma? Oh, Uma was nominated, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, the difference is, nothing beats live theater, of course, but and so when I first started choreographing Smash, I didn't really know how to choreograph for television. So I would choreograph these big numbers that I would choreograph for the stage. So and it was a lot of work because I was like trying to polish everything. 90% of it never got on camera. And then I realized after a while that I didn't have to, wonder what was going on out on the sides, on the peripherals, and just, wherever I thought the camera was going to be, just make sure that looked good. And then I realized what did start looking good. And then I would film things with my iPhone, and so that I could kind of have an idea of how it would look on camera. And then I could send that over to the director and the cinematographer so that they could get a little head start on what the numbers were starting to look like. So it's definitely a different process. The most important, I think, is when you're choreographing for stage, you have to make sure that you focus every moment so that the audience knows where to look so they can follow the story and follow the characters. If you're doing too much distraction, then they're not going to go on the right journey with you. So you have to make sure you craft everything so they know what journey they need to go on. When you do it for TV, the camera does that for you, and the editing room. Then you can make everything different, completely different.
Well, there's also that interesting collaboration. Sorry if I could.
Yeah, no, please.
There's also that interesting collab of like you having to kind of the DP, like you're having conversations with the director and the DP about like where to focus their shot and where to,
right.
Like, that's something that you don't do in the theater.
No, absolutely not.
I know you're collaborating with the director, but it's mostly about like creating a piece that the audience can enjoy at any angle or any place they're sitting in the house. Whereas for television, it's like direct collaboration with that DP, right?
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. To make sure that they're following the journey that I'm hoping that they're going to follow. And then there's the other layer when you get into the editing room. I remember, it was the beginning of the series, right? We actually shot Let's Be Bad really early on, even though it was the 5th episode.
Yeah.
Because some of the songs weren't ready. It was like the 3rd number we shot. And the editors, who were great, they were still getting used to how to do it. And I remember the first edit came back, and it was the worst thing I'd ever seen. and the director also, he was like, I got to show you something. And we watched it. We were like, oh my God. And so then there's that collaboration of going back to the editor and saying, okay, so you kind of missed what we were going for here, and then you have to figure out, okay, do I do a specific shot by shot or kind of frame by frame, or do I say take another pass and think about this, because you want the collaboration to be healthy and not as things got unhealthy. You didn't want that to happen.
I love that.
Follow-up question, Mr. Bergasse. in the rehearsal room number, Don't Say Yes Until I Finish Talking, when the executives are in the steam room, when they throw their towels off, are they meant to be nude underneath?
Yeah, we haven't quite figured that out yet. That was the idea. Since we were doing it in rehearsal clothes, we didn't have to figure that out. But yes,
okay. I've always wondered.
But then we did. We had to do it when we did that number again for the out of town tryout. It was only.
We don't talk about that version.
Yes, no.
For obvious reasons.
But I just remember all the boys like doing push-ups backstage, like all of us trying to, get swole.
Yeah.
It was always like, I always remember. Wasn't there one where you open the towel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then close it again? That was supposed to be a moment.
Christian, do you have a question for Josh?
I have so many questions, but I'll defer to James Massa from Rahway, New Jersey, who wants to know, quote, how did you get your start choreographing or choreographing? And do you have any people that inspired your choreographic journey? I'm right here.
Christian and Wes.
It answers itself.
Why do you think we were brought on?
Okay, wait. Christian and I, can I tell the story how we met?
Sure.
Christian and I danced in West Side Story together.
Well, he danced, I danced.
You danced. He played Riff.
Yes, I
played
did.
Riff. I played Baby John in 1996.
Wow.
Yes, you danced.
Those are good times.
It was a great time.
Sure.
Where was it?
It was a national tour of West Side Story.
Wow.
Yeah, we were like for a year, right?
Yep. Changed my life.
Yeah. Amazing.
So good.
Yeah, so I started choreographing, like I was saying before, at my mom's studio, and then when I got to New York, just trying out, benefits and showcases and things for free, and then, slowly built up, a career at a lot of regional theaters, smaller at first, and then bigger and bigger and bigger, but it took time. It takes a long time to kind of develop, that a career like that where you these theaters know you and they trust you, and these directors, want to hire you. It's all about that. But it's about the people you meet and the contacts you make, and how you want to try and I guess just impress these people so that they want to work with you, and they'll hire you. They'll take a chance on you. It's really the way you build a choreography career. It's not going to be your agents. Your agents get you like maybe 5% of the work that you'll ever get in your whole career. It's really about putting your work out there and people seeing it, or making contacts, or just like putting your heart out there and saying, please hire me.
And was that like, how did you get Smash? I mean, did you?
That's
was it an offer from Mark and
no,
Neil and
it was.
Greg?
So I was at a place in my career where I was really frustrated, and I was ready to quit. Actually, I felt like I wasn't advancing, and I felt like colleagues of mine were, and I wasn't upset that they were. I was happy for them, but I was kind of upset that I wasn't starting to do the work that I wanted to do. And so I was thinking, what am I going to do now? Maybe I'll move out of New York and do something else. And so while I was contemplating this, I was asked to do a benefit for NYU. It was on the students. It wasn't professional dancers. They just asked me to do this benefit for their gala, their annual gala, which is a big gala. But and it wasn't a lot of money. But I wasn't doing anything. I didn't have anything going on really. So I did it, and I did a good job. I mean, I wasn't going to blow it off just because it was students, or because it was, not, I was in a bad place in my mind and my life. So it just so happens that Michael Mayer was in the audience that night, and Michael was the director of the first 3 episodes of Smash, and he helped create the pilot. So he really liked what I did, and he said, I need you to meet me at Starbucks on Thursday. He emailed me, need you to meet me at Starbucks on Thursday. I was like, okay, cool. And then he said, I don't know if you've heard about it, but there's this project that for what network? NBC. That just got greenlit. It's fast tracking. He was using all these cool words. And I think you should choreograph it, but nobody knows who you are, so it's going to be tough for me to get you this job. And so he talked everybody into hiring me, including Steven Spielberg. He like flew out to California to put Spielberg into hiring me.
And did he show him certain clips that you had provided?
Yeah,
or?
I had choreography reels, and I showed him my choreography reels. He took it to California to Spielberg. I had a meeting with Craig and Neil, and Teresa was on board, but it's all because of Michael. And the funny thing is that anybody else would have wanted the job. There were so many other choreographers who were bigger names and more well known than me, but because I wasn't doing anything and my career was in the toilet, I had plenty of time. I could I didn't have a Broadway show that I could say that was conflicting. And because Michael said, if you do this, I need you 6 weeks. This is all you can do. I need you like at my beck and call. I was like, sure. And that's how that happened.
We've all been in those places though. So the fact that it worked out that way, it's just meant to be.
Yeah.
It goes to something that happens quite a lot in this business, if I can piggyback on that.
Yeah.
People who feel frustrated that they're not quite where they want to be and they're stuck doing a project that they feel less than fulfilled by. It has happened so many times in my own experience and other people's experiences that if you do it with integrity and you do it well, no matter what it is, you never know who's watching.
Totally.
And you never know what it's going to lead to. And I got one of the biggest breaks ever by doing a reading that at the time I was a little bit like, if I'm being honest, like, this thing. And someone saw it and it led to one of the greatest things that ever happened in my life. So if you do it with integrity and you do it with passion, you never know where it will lead.
It's totally true. So I keep thinking like if I had blown that off, I would have missed the greatest opportunity.
I also reject the idea that the reason you were hired is because you weren't doing anything and you were available. I mean, there is something very special about your work. We all know this. The sort of muscular, energetic, athletic part of your style is like very appealing, especially for like the glitz and glamour Broadway that Smash was really pushing out.
Thanks. Yeah.
For season.
It was. I tell you, it was so amazing to do that show and work with you guys and that whole cast who brought so much to it, and to have a budget like that to say, hey NBC, build me this set tonight and then have it ready tomorrow.
Yeah, wild.
Christian West, can you talk a little bit about why you loved working with Josh and why he is so brilliant? Wes, I know you touched on it a little bit, but I want to champion Josh as much as I possibly can in this hour.
He has my favorite quality of anyone that I've ever worked with, which is constancy. You always know what you're going to get, no matter what the pressures that the jobs bring, no matter where you are in the process. He is always the same, and that is gracious and calm, patient, and full of a sense of humor.
Yeah, I would say the grace, humility, and patience really stuck out to me because I've worked with a lot of choreographers who just aren't that way. And just like you're against the clock, there's all the like millions of dollars on the line. Like it's a very stressful situation, a ship that he was running, and he did it so gracefully and kindly. I think that there was only one time that we got in a little bit of a scrape. And it was because I personally was so overwhelmed and frustrated because, I was hired as like the dancer who had lines. So I was put in the back for technique and in the front for character stuff, So a lot of the time I would be so frustrated at not being able to do, or just not feeling adept at what these like crazy Broadway hoofers, cream of the crop talent on Broadway kicking their face, like they would just retain so fast. And then he would have to like change. He would change. You would. I don't know why I'm talking like you're not here. Change choreography a lot, which they were game to do, but I was like on the verge of tears so often. And there was one day where I was just like, I can't. And he's like, don't say you can. I don't know. But you were like, I will not hear. I can't. You can. And it was
Do or do not. There is no try.
it was like such a classic, like fame school scene, like moment. Like it was amazing.
I tell you, that the experience of Smash was amazing, and the show was great, and we all loved it. But the most fun I had always was in the rehearsal room, with you guys and the rest of the cast. That was, because there was so much other stuff that we all had to do, and I had so many meetings and this and that, but once I got into that rehearsal room and I got away from all that other stuff, it was like, oh, it was so fun. It was just so fun.
It really was.
Guys, thank you.
Back to the rehearsal room now.
Right. Thank you so much for being here. Do you have a social media handle that you can tell us? You?
The end of the world, people. It's the end of the world. Keep enjoying your little tweets. See you in the apocalypse.
I have been trying to get Christian on social media. We did the Who's Tommy at Kennedy Center last year, and Manny Gonzalez and I would like chase Christian around with our phones, just trying to trap him into Instagram content.
Wake up, people.
He's like, this is how Trump got elected.
It's true.
Keep it up.
It's true.
We have Wes's.
You hang out with those high school friends that you haven't talked to.
That's actually not right. That's not my right handle. It's at Sir Wes Tay, not Wesley Taylor. Get it right. Wes Tay.
We'll fix it now.
I rest my case.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
Good to see you guys.
Bye, guys.
Oh man, Christian joined us before with Mark Shaman, and I couldn't stop laughing the entire broadcast. He's just the funniest person in the world.
He is a very funny guy. Oh my God, it was so wonderful to have him on that set because he just made everything better. Whenever things got stressful, it was like, oh, Christian's here. He's calm. He's funny. He's going to make me feel better about this.
Yeah. And I didn't know Wes, but I didn't realize he was so funny as well. What a nice guy.
Hysterical.
This next question is from Ryan Graytalk from New Jersey. Many choreographers get their start as performers and use that experience to work into choreography. What advice do you have for networking into the business for choreographers that are not performers?
I think it's okay. Listen, let's be honest. When I first started doing this, there was no really internet. And I think the first thing I was able to use, and this was mid-career, was YouTube. But now there's just so much opportunity. And I guess what the first thing I need to say is the only way to do it is you got to get your work out there. People need to see your work. They need to know that you're choreographing. So, just do as much as you can. I think when I first started, it was Scott Whitman who said, do as much as you can. Do everything you can. Get it. Just get it out there, because and I realize he's saying that because if people don't see your work, how do they know it's there? How do they know you're there? And so now with the internet and all these social media and everything, it's so much easier to get your work out there. And there's also a little more competition with that too. But you can create content for yourself and get a website or whatever it's social media, or put it out there so that people know that you're there and they know that your work is there and they know what it's like. They know the things that you can do. Am I answering the right question? Okay.
Yeah, you are.
It's really about getting yourself out there. When I was a performer and then I switched, I just, you can say I'm a choreographer now, but until people know that and know what you do and see your work, they can't respond to it.
Right. I think, a lot of upcoming choreographers have this mindset of I have to be a performer and then a dance captain and then an assistant and then there's this lineage that they feel like they have to do in order to get to where they want to be. And that's really just not the case for so many people.
It's not. It's so different. Everybody has their own journey. Everybody's journey is so unique for this to become a choreographer. And, it's like that at anything in life, but surely for a choreographer, some people are an assistant or associate for a long time. Some people it's just it's different. It's just different for everybody. And the more work you create and put it out there, the better results you'll get and quicker.
Josh, how would you describe your style?
People ask me that all the time, and I hate answering it because I don't know. Because I like to think of myself as like a jack of all trades, master of none kind of choreographer. Because for me, it's about story and it's about character as far as the movement and the choreography. And if I'm not serving the story and the character, then yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. Like I can't wrap my brain around the movement really. No. So every story and every character and every score, the music, is going to dictate a different style to me. So stuff like For On the Town, it was a mix of kind of ballet, really, really serious ballet, plus some classic old style musical theater. And then you talk about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and that was, more of that had so many different styles and number. It had some ballet, but then, it had some Bavarian folk dancing, and it had, what else did we do? We had big show-stopping first act closer, and then the rest was like puppetry, choreographing for puppets. So it's like when I choreograph a show, I try to think, what is the style of the show rather than what is my style? Like when I teach my classes, I focus on like a kind of like classic jazz, Jack Cole mathematics, Gene Kelly influence, because I feel like we don't always get enough of that, and I think that it's good to really study that and study our roots.
And are those your greatest influences?
Those are some of my really, really big influences are I grew up watching the MGM musicals, and so Michael Kidd and Sid Charisse and Hermes Pan, and of course Bob Fosse. Jerome Robbins is huge. I love his theater work, but also his ballets. Yeah.
Thanks. You talked about a bunch of different projects. How do you pick which project you want to work on?
It's it's hard because if you take on too many projects, you spread yourself too thin, and it's hard to and then calendar wise things start to conflict, and then you get into trouble because you literally need to be in two places at the same time. Sometimes they're not even in the same country. So you have to be careful. If you pick something and you're not really, you don't really believe in it, then you sometimes might miss out on the opportunity that comes up where you really, really want to do the show and you can't do it. That's happened to me a bunch of times where I did something because I was available. Yeah. And even though I wasn't 1,000%, it wasn't something that I really, really wanted. And then an opportunity came up, and it was for something that I really wanted to do, and I couldn't do it. So it happens, and so you have to be careful. You have to be wise with what you choose to do. That being said, you have to think about, what is it that you're trying to accomplish? Are you trying to, what is it as an artist? What do you want to say? And so I think if you guide yourself by that principle, then it will help you choose the projects that you do. And sometimes it's not you that chooses the project chooses you. And sometimes you just have to go with that.
Thank you. That's a powerful answer.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. This is the question from our YouTube channel. The question is, what was your favorite number to choreograph in Smash?
My favorite number to choreograph. I mean, good one. I really liked. Some of the national pastime. Christian's number, Just Say Yes. Let's see. What else? Oh, there was in season 2. Christian had a great number in season 2. Whoa. I don't know. I mean,
There's so many.
Dad was great for me. I loved that. Yeah, there's so many. They were all just so fun. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there's too many to pick.
It's like picking your favorite child, right?
Yeah, you've accomplished so much in your career thus far. What haven't you done that you'd still like to do?
You know what I've never really done is a big movie musical.
Mm.
I think that would be really cool. I think that would be
Anyone in particular that you're itching to get your hands on?
I don't know. I mean, something that where it's the story, some story is told through dance. I would love it to be story driven, and not just like stop into a dance break kind of thing. You know, something where dance is integral to the storytelling and to the vocabulary of the storytelling. You know, as opposed to, you know, it's when it's on the peripheral. That I'd love to do something like that. So that, you know, that was what was great about Smash, is the movement was so integral to the series.
Yeah.
You know, and I felt like a real part of the creative team. Whereas, you know, for television and film, sometimes choreography is like just an added little spice.
Right.
You know, so I would love to do something that it's you know, the choreography is really important to the vocabulary.
And Josh, I saw and loved On the Town, where the choreography is so important to the vocabulary. How did you honor prior choreography and still make your own?
Yeah, you know, okay, so interesting story about that. We were never thought it was going to go to Broadway. We did it in the Berkshires at a Barrington Stage Company, and John Rano, the director, and myself, and you know, most of the principals. It was kind of, and you know, the Berkshires is like, it's wonderful because you can get great people up there,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like summer theater camp. You know, you after rehearsal you go jump in the lake, you know, and really it's just great. So it was kind of a low pressure situation, and I wasn't thinking, oh gosh, how am I going to compare to Jerome Robbins, and you know, what am I going to do? And but you know, I've always been such a Robbins fan, and you know, I've seen so much of his work, and so I kind of tried to just, you know, channel that what would Jerry do here thing, you know, and the way I felt like I could honor him best is to make sure that I would, you know, going back to story and character, make sure I was telling a story with all these, you know, there's these huge ballets that go on and on and on, but I wanted to make sure that there was story and character in those ballets, and it wasn't just an exhibition. So I knew if I could maintain Hoebee, you know, and those three sailors and their characters and their camaraderie throughout the movement, I could, you know, really honor what Robbins meant for this. And then same thing for like the, you know, the Dream Ballet in the second act. It was all about like, this is all about Hoebee and Ivy and trying to get together and being pulled apart and getting together and you know, so I knew that that was the way to honor Robbins, was to really, you know, make sure that the story and the character were very clear, and that the audience didn't just think, oh, it's a ballet, you know, but we're like invested from what happened before through the ballet, and then took them to another place at the end of the ballet. Yeah. So, you know, so it was, I knew that if I did that, I wouldn't feel also the pressure of comparing myself to you know, a master of that sort.
Well, you are the master of now. You know, it's important to keep that in mind. Can you talk about your decision on why you decided to go with a principal ballet dancer instead of a typical musical theater performer for On the Town?
Yeah, I mean, we you know, we auditioned a lot of people.
Yeah.
We got a lot of people, but we knew we wanted a very, very top of their craft ballerina to play this role, because it's just so demanding, and you know, when you're talking about somebody at that level, what you can, the things that you can do choreographically are like, it's almost like you can't imagine it. You know, like I'll imagine something and say, hey, can you do this? And they do it, and they do it better than you imagined it. You know, so you can't imagine what some of these people can do.
Yeah.
So that's why we went with the ballerina, and we were looking for that, and we were auditioned so many people who were great, brilliant. And then when Megan Fairchild came in the room and she read, she was like, she was Ivy.
Yeah.
She wasn't acting.
Yeah, she's so.
I was just like, oh my God, we all, it was great because I think we made her dance, but I don't know why, because I know her dancing. I've seen her on stage at New York City Ballet dozens of times.
Right.
I don't know why we made her dance. It's so weird. I guess just because we wanted more of her in the room, you know what I mean, for the audition.
Yeah, you get to see it for free. I mean,
yeah. And so then we sent her out of the room, and we were all like, "That's Ivy," and we brought her back in, and she got offered the job right there in the audition room.
Wow.
Yeah, can you imagine getting offered your first Broadway lead?
Wow.
Right there in the audition room. That never happens anymore. You know, it's good. You gotta call the agent and say, let's negotiate, and this is yours if you want it.
That's what dreams are made of. I mean, that's so exciting. Josh, how are you staying creative during this crazy time?
I've been a lot of these projects that were postponed now are going through, like I was saying before, like new developmental phases, and I'm dealing with a lot of writers meetings and concept meetings, and we're writing new songs, and so we've been really doing great work on these projects. I have to say, when they do come around, when they do get staged, they're going to be better than they would have been, for sure, by far. So it's really exciting, and that's one way I'm staying creative. And then I'm teaching a lot, and that's been really, it's weird because it's this Zoom thing,
right.
But somehow I'm finding a connection with these people, and just coming up with material for the classes, and it's been really kind of inspiring, because I'm used to choreographing in a room with some people and assistants, and I never have to remember anything because we videotape everything, and and now I have to like come up with everything on my own by myself and remember it.
Right.
So that skill is coming back. I'm actually getting a lot better at remembering my own choreography.
How do you find the best assistants for yourself?
It's kind of trust. It's that thing where, like, I knew you as a dancer, and now you were a dance captain, and now why don't you be, my second assistant, and then now why don't you be the first assistant? So it's a career. You build up this trust and this working relationship, and now with a lot of my associates, we don't. It's all like, we don't even have to speak to each other. We just know exactly what we have to do together, and we can easily divide and conquer. But it's important. It's important to have somebody that you trust, and that you can say, literally, if I can't go to work today, you got to take over, and know that it's not only productive, but sometimes better that I'm not there, because I feel like sometimes I slow them down.
Right. I understand that. Josh, it is such a pleasure chatting with you today. I know you as a choreographer and a teacher, and you are just as tremendous at both. I'm so excited to have you back for class sometime in the future at Growing Studio. If we can follow you and your journey, are you most active on Twitter or Instagram?
Yeah, probably Twitter and Facebook.
Great.
Twitter and Facebook, yeah, I'm active on there. Awesome.
Right there. Cool. It is such a pleasure. I hope you stay safe and healthy, and good luck in upstate New York.
Thank you.
Have the best time.
Thank you. You too. Stay safe and healthy. Everybody out there, hang in there. Breathe. I always say breathe. Take a deep breath. We'll get through this pretty soon.
Thanks, Josh. It's good to see you.
Take care.
Take care. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please join me on Friday as I chat with Penn State and Temple University. Then Monday, I'm chatting with music director of Ain't Too Proud, Kenny Seymour, and Wednesday with composer Joe Iconis. Follow us on Instagram at Playbill and at The Growing Studio for the most up-to-date information on all of our streams. This is Danny George, signing off.